To build a new journey, simply click the New Journey button on the journey screen. Supply a journey name and decide whether you wish the contacts to run through the journey just once or whether they may run through it as many times. On this occasion, it's an event invite, so we wish to keep it as being just the once. Once we've landed at the automation canvas page, we drag in a start audience. The start audience now allows us to define who should run through this journey. In this instance, I'd like to invite a group of people I already know in a marketing list called Hot Customers. I may wish to add further rules to say people that have visited certain pages on our website, people from certain regions within that marketing list, people that have done certain actions with other emails, lots of different parameters. Or I may wish to search for people that don't yet exist, and when they do exist, they will immediately trigger into this process. Once I've defined my start audience, I can then say what I would like to do. I always like to use a delay object to make sure we're sending the email at the appropriate hours of the day and week if it is a journey that can be triggered by somebody doing something online at any time of the day or night. No point sending out emails to people at 2 o'clock in the morning just because they've engaged with it once at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I always like to drop a delay object in just to reset any of these start audiences down to a sensible hour of the time of the day. I then drag in my email stage. I select the email which I'd like to send, supply the subject line, I specify the from name, which is Force24 in this occasion, the default reply address. This is where the emails, anybody that replies to the email will be directed to. The users won't see this. The system, after the Force24 system, will redirect the users onto this email address. So I could put adam@hotmail.com or whatever I wanted there. I specify the send server, which denotes the brand that I'm sending from. In this instance, I've got 2 brands. Both of them are the same, just for demo purposes. And I select the audience type as being marketing. Marketing or transactional. Marketing is where I wish to send a marketing message. Transactional is if I wish to vend a transactional message to a customer that may have unsubscribed. In this instance, it's marketing. Click Save. I can connect that delay time up to this send email. I next have a choice. I can end the journey here because my email has been sent, or I can wait a little bit longer and I can make a decision as to whether the users have done what I asked them to do. So I drag in a make decision object, and here I can select again a parameter to look for. Usually I use the web activity to say if it's an event registration page, for example, I use the thanks page as the goal URL, which will tell me that the user has booked. So without knowing the URL for the demo, I'll just put contains thanks. And I'll give the users up to 5 days in order to complete that. What a delay in a decision does is slightly different to a normal delay that we've got here. So a delay in a decision says I will give you up to 5 days before I send you to the no branch. So for example, if I'm waiting to see if you open this email, I'll give you up to 5 days to open it. If you haven't opened it after 5 days, I'll assume you're not going to and send you down the no branch. So there's a slight difference here. So I've said people that have visited this URL have now booked. So if the answer to that question is yes, this journey has now done its job, and I will end the journey for these users. However, people in the no branch are now still have not yet booked. We may wish to send another email. Now we know that the no branch triggers after 5 days, which is fine, but what we don't know is that 5 days is not on a weekend. So let's clone this object, drag this on here, and that makes sure that anything that's going out is going on a weekday, an appropriate time of day. I now would like to drag in another email. I have a choice. I can either clone this email, or I could drag in a new email object. So in this instance, I've cloned it. I'm now going to change the template. It's a different email. I'll change the subject line and click Save. we keep going along this line. Each time before we send out an email, we make a decision, whether it's the same decision or a different decision, but we're always making a decision before we act. That way we can make sure that the users remain in the appropriate state to receive the email. Allow me to just show you a number of our journeys. This is a nurture sequence journey. It's a nurture sequence journey that runs for approximately 8 weeks, and it starts with a fixed audience. We then use the delay time to make sure it's a day of the week. We send an email, we wait, we make a decision. Are you now a customer? Did you download the guide? If you are, end the journey there. If not, we continue. And this continues along for a period of time which is about 6 weeks. Should you at any point actually download or request this guide, we have a further journey which is actually sending the guide out to the users. So it's one thing being able to click on a button to say I'd like to receive the guide, it's another thing to actually send the guide to the users. So we're looking for people that have sent it, we're now sending them an email, we're making a decision. Did they open and click or download the email? If the answer is yes, sorry, the guide, if the answer is yes, we move them onto this list here, this segment where I know this user has seen the guide. If the answer is no, we wait a few more days and we send a reminder email. After that period, we add them to the same list and assume they've downloaded it. So all the way through, we're building these little utilitarian jobs to make sure data is put in the right place and that emails are being sent to people in the appropriate way. I'll show you how I also have a different classification of journey that I personally use, which is a data hygiene journey. Data hygiene journey is where we're not sending any emails, we're just making decisions on data and putting people in specific lists based on activities they may have performed. In this one, I'm looking for everybody that is not in our current discussion marketing list, has a lead score greater than 30, email address does not contain Force24, marketing list is not clients and friends, marketing list is not lead score to pipe drive, has had web activity within the last 2 days, and is not a strategic prospect. If that is the case, we will put them in this list here. All the while we can see how the lists are evolving and growing because the processes are placing people in and out of the lists. This is a list report where I can see the member count is increasing quite simply. The Journey Manager can be used in many different ways. As I've already said, I like to use it in one way, which is data maintenance, and one way as well is actually for outbound communications. Within the outbound communications, the event invite that I just produced, you may wish to vend more of the journey. You may wish to create lots of little journeys, or you may wish to create one big journey for the whole event, which does every part of the journey. So it sends the invites to people, waits to see if they book. Once they book, it sends a booking confirmation. Day before the event, sends an email saying, would you like to know where to park, or whatever it is. So all of these delay objects, for example, have got different settings here. So I may wish to say I'd like to delay for several days, or it might be that I wish to actually make sure that this email goes on the day before the event at 9 AM or the day of the event at 9 AM. That way I can absolutely be assured that that email will go on the morning of the event. So there's some very clever ways in which we've managed the delay with this delay object to make sure that the timing is always perfect. So obviously delay for, not before, and then these send windows. We also have this capability to throttle. So where we don't wish to overburden our inbound, our sales team too much, we may wish to throttle contacts through this stage at 300 per hour. That'll give you a very steady, smooth flow of leads into the business during the week. There's so many specific nuances of how journeys can operate and should operate, and as marketing automation experts we have a very good understanding and we can show you some of the best ways to do things. If you've got any questions, let's jump on a demo and we can have a look at how we can improve things for you. Thank you very much.